Hey guys, I'm here in my car waiting for my kids for for seminary. They're attending seminary this morning, and I just went to go drop them off in class just so that they can feel reassured and so that I can feel reassured that they got in. And I took the time, or I took advantage of being able to take pictures of the different artwork that we have at church and stuff. And so, I've been coming to this church for a long time, and I hadn't noticed some of the paintings, and I walk these halls a lot. But anyway, I took pictures of them. So I'm one that likes to appreciate art. And so I took pictures of them so I could, see them a little bit closer and just kind of, have them so that I know what we have in our church. There's quite a bit of beautiful paintings. But anyway, I wanted to come on here to tell you this little, story. It came to my mind when I was coming to drop off my kids, and it just popped in my head, and I thought I would share it with them. I had like a little issue at home yesterday, and the Lord just kind of has been prompting me to talk about perfection and about trying. As parents, we ask our children to try, never to be confused with perfection. We just need them to be moving forward. We need them to be climbing to higher ground. We need them to be able to survive in this world with its agenda and with all its things that a lot of parents are not agreeing with. And so I had this story come to my mind because I told you guys that I used to teach seminary, and this youth came to my mind while I had just finished asking my daughter to say prayer before we came over, because I got dressed really, really fast. I just put on some leggings and I put on a shirt. Just put on a green shirt and I put on my sandals. Yesterday, leggings, t-shirt, and my socks and shoes. And today I just whatever. I'm just going to go in my sandals. I'm going to stay in the car. I'm not really going to do much, so it doesn't matter. So I came in sandals today. I'm like, okay, guys, I'm going to wait for you in the car. And I walk outside, and all of a sudden I get in my car. It unlocked somehow, because usually you need it to unlock with the key. And so I sit in my car and I'm trying to turn it on, and I always have my key on my purse like this, hanging on the outside, right? Because I can unclip it and I can clip it as I need it. If I need to give it to my son or whatever to go open the door, he just unclips it and he'll go open the door or whatever. My point is that I come and I sit in the car and I don't have a key. And I was calling my husband on the phone because I knew he was up at the same time as I was, and he wouldn't answer me. So I'm like, ugh. So I get out of my car and I go and my son's coming out. He's like, what happened? And I'm like, I forgot my key. I didn't forget my phone, but I forgot my keys. Right? And so I went inside, upset a little, not too upset. I was just kind of frustrated. I wasn't upset. I was just frustrated. And my husband was like, he was back in bed and he was like, And I was like, dude, you didn't answer the phone. And he was like, he's tired, right? And I'm like, I forgot my keys, forgot my purse. And I just grab it and I just get out the door because we were already kind of running late. We were probably close to 5 minutes late, maybe, if that. I think we got here on time. I think it's just, whatever. So when we get in the car, and we were probably a little bit late because I asked my daughter to do the prayer. Yesterday, we just kind of drove over here and forgot to do the prayer. So anyway, yeah, hold on, guys. I'm trying to process. So we say prayer, and I got something popped in my head, and I was thinking about a certain youth that I used to teach in seminary. And I don't even know why it's popping into my head it's been so many years. I was like 27 when this happened. I'm 45 now. And I hadn't thought about it for a long time. And I felt the need to share my story with my kids. And I was like, guys, I'm going to tell you this story. I don't even know. It just kind of popped in my head, and I feel like I need to share it with you guys. I'm like, did I ever tell you guys what happened to me one time after seminary? They're like, my daughter was like, no, what? And I like to share stories with them because I feel like sometimes the kids learn through stories instead of like lecturing them. So I was kind of telling them, well, there was this one time that we had just finished seminary, and one of the youth came to me so worried. He was holding his hands like this together. Like, let me see if I can put you down. I remember him. He was like, well, whatever. The hand gestures don't matter. But I was kind of like telling them that he was worried. Like, he was just kind of like, he came to me and he's like, sister, can I talk to you? Or I remember the exact words he told me, but I remember he came to me. He was so worried, and he told me that he had hit my car. I am assuming, he was driving. He didn't have a parent bring him to seminary. And I kind of did get worried a little bit because, like, everybody, they think, the worst, usually. You don't think the least of the situation. You usually think the worst, right? So, well, we go outside, but I'm trying to put my stuff away or whatever. And my husband kind of stayed outside. He really didn't come outside with me because, like I said, this youth actually approached me. So I go outside and I'm like, where? And he's like, right there. And I didn't see anything. I was like, but where? And he's like right there. It was like the tiniest, like little scratch. And it's like, it looked like you could even like wipe it off. Like, he was so worried. He felt like it was the biggest mistake that he had ever made. The biggest, like he felt like it was like, I was thinking because of the way that he approached me, I felt like it was so big, right? This youth was beating himself up over the tiniest little thing. And I was like, but you can't even see it. I don't remember if I hugged him. I think I did. I told him not to worry about it, but he was still so worried. And I was telling my son and my daughter right now, and I was like, I don't know because after that, I think we were still teaching seminary for a little while longer because I ended up getting pregnant, and we just stopped because I was sick and I was throwing up everywhere. I had morning sickness, and I kind of I stopped teaching. And I don't remember if he ever went back. I don't know if that kept him because he was embarrassed because he had hit my car, but it wasn't that big of a deal. Like, honestly, like, I hope that he remembers that we all make mistakes. I just appreciate him showing up to church on his own. I don't know if his parents were members or not members, but I just remember him like showing up, He drove himself over to church. I remember another time where this same youth had asked me for gas money. And at first I thought it was kind of like, okay. But I had the money at the time. I was like, my husband was working and I was working. We didn't have any kids. We were perfectly fine. We had money, which is why we were always bringing snacks and everything for the youth. But like, I didn't hesitate. I didn't think anything of it. I quickly gave him $20. I appreciated his effort. I appreciated him showing up without his parents to seminary. I don't know how far he lived or how close he lived. I don't know. But what I do know is that he showed up. I do know that he was a good kid. I do know that, even though, like, let's say he hit my car, he didn't like just take off, right? There's a lot of people who will hit your car and just take off. They don't take ownership for a mistake or whatever. They just kind of do like a hit and run and they take off, right? They get scared or they just don't want to take fault, or they're afraid of what might happen. He didn't. He came to me like with a broken heart and asking for like forgiveness, and he was so worried. And I was telling my kids a story this morning because I was telling my son, I'm like, Papa, I do not ask you for perfection. I do not ask my children to be perfect. They might be thinking that in their heads. They might be thinking that the parents are asking for perfection, and we're not. We're asking simply to try. We want them to be moving forward. We want them to show effort. And so maybe that's the reason why the Lord wanted me to share that story with them this morning. I hope that my son and my daughter understand that that's all that's required for them to become what we all want, I think, for our kids. We want them to become good citizens of the community. We want them to be good people to others. We want them to be disciples of Christ and be a light to others. I mean, that's what I want for my kids. I'm not asking them to be perfect because nobody is. I'm not even perfect. So I just want the youth to feel loved and to not worry about the tiniest little thing. I hope, because after, like I said, I stopped teaching, and I hope that he continued to go to seminary. I hope that little tiny little thing that he did that felt so big in his brain didn't keep him from continuing to progress. And so I wanted to share that story because I don't even know why it's making me sentimental right now, guys, because I hadn't thought about him in so long. But look, it served to teach my kids this morning, to teach them that we are not asking for perfection. We're asking for them to try and to keep moving forward and to not worry about tiny little things that come about. Honestly, like, I didn't even see that little flaw in my car, and he just was so brokenhearted. And I just, if it was me right now that I have kids, I would totally hug him again. And make him understand that it's not a big deal. People make mistakes. What he was doing by coming to seminary every day on his own meant more to me than anything. And so our kids need to understand that there are other kids that are having to be picked up by bishops or by counselors or like by a family member. We need to recognize effort whenever possible. People are trying their best. People are just trying to survive right now, trying to keep their head above water. I mean, people are struggling financially, emotionally, even in my home. We all come to church. We all try our best, but even there are days where we feel overwhelmed and we just feel super stressed out and sometimes feel like wanting to give up. But giving up is not something that is never like really an option. Like, I'll cry about it or whatever, but I get back up stronger or I just need a minute to recharge and I will come back stronger. And that is what I'm trying to teach my kids. It's like, it's okay to have a little minor setback, but don't stay there. You got to keep moving. You got to keep moving because this world is not going to stop. That's something I have learned. I've learned because when my dad passed away, I wanted the world to stop. I wanted people to notice that, I'm hurting. I wanted the world to stop, and it did not stop for me. It didn't stop for my mom. It didn't stop for my brother. It didn't stop for my other brothers and sisters. It kept going. We need to keep moving forward. We need to try our best to just show up, do our best. If you can't show up one day, that's okay, but you need to try. You need to try to keep moving forward and showing the Lord that, that you recognize all of your blessings. And I'm not going to lie. Yesterday I was having a pretty big breakdown. I cried a lot. Didn't know if my parenting was the best. I was thinking, am I pushing too hard? Am I not pushing enough? I think that's a lot of parents. I think a lot of parents feel that guilt. And I've been learning to not allow guilt to do that. That's one of the reasons why I took therapy. The therapist that I'm actually seeing, she wanted me to treat guilt like if it was a real person and look at guilt and be like, you need to stop. So I'm doing the best I can. This is the first time I'm a parent. When I was teaching seminary, I didn't have any kids. I got pregnant when I ended up teaching seminary. I prayed so much to have my son and so much to have my daughter. And I had so many complications. They were both high risk. That is why I take care of them and protect them as much as I do, because I had a hard time having my kids. But if I knew back then what I know now, I would be such a different person. I was a different person. I had just gotten married, just sealed in the San Antonio Temple, and I got extended the not the calling, because it wasn't a calling, but the invitation to teach seminary. And it was a wonderful opportunity. And like I say, the teacher is the one that learns the most, because we end up studying, at least for me, I studied 3 hours a day to be able to teach these youth. And so it was a big change. And I don't forget those lessons. We were able to teach the Old Testament, and those things have stayed with me. And I'm able to teach my kids till this day those things. And I hold them dear and near to my heart. But I've learned way more things throughout my life now, raising kids, that it would definitely make me a different teacher. And so I appreciate Sister Arce for what she does. I know she has children of her own. I'm sure she's a very strong and wonderful teacher. She's amazing. I know she would do just about anything. Like I were to do just about, I was like willing to do just about anything for my kids, for my seminary students. And I hope that they always felt that love come from me and my husband, because we truly did love them. But there were some things that I just did not feel prepared for. There were certain things that came up that I was scared as well. Just like they get scared, we also get scared, and we need reassurance that what we are doing and what we are teaching is the best thing, right? We're not perfect, but what we do bring is a lot of heart and a lot of love for these youth. And so that was the story that I told my kids this morning. I love that kid. I love that youth. And I hope that, I don't know if I'll ever come across him or not, or, I hope that never ever kept him from anything. I hope that he remembers, like, that it was okay. I hope that he remembers that he was fine and that he didn't have to go around living with that small little mistake that he did, you know? It was like, I just appreciated so much more that he came to me, you know? He could have chosen other things. And so, like, I try to teach my kids, just come to me, talk to me, you know? I'm right here. You know, half the time these youth are afraid to talk to their parents. They don't say things until like 2 years later or like weeks later. And it's like, why? Like, you have every opportunity to come to your parent and talk to them, even if they're busy. Find the time to try to talk to them and explain what is going on, what is weighing so much on you. You know, like I saw with this youth, I felt the weight on him for something so small. And so I just wanted to lift that from him. Like, it's all right. Like, I can wipe it off. It's not a big deal, you know? But I remember feeling that way. I remember feeling like I just was never good enough. And I remember that it was hard to live with. You have like these bags that you're carrying on your shoulders. And it feels overwhelming. And sometimes you just need to cry. And sometimes you just need to vent. And sometimes you're going to kick and scream as a youth. And that's why I try to have some patience. But sometimes it's like, sometimes as parents, we need to like kind of put our foot down and kind of be like, hey, you know, it's not okay for you to act up that way. Come to me and let's talk. Let's find out what's going on first. Maybe you're carrying something that's not even needed to be carried. You just need to just relax. And that's something that I miss so much of not having my dad. He was the one that would always tell me, just relax. Everything's going to be all right. And not all the time was that well received. Sometimes I would make me even more mad when I felt like he wasn't acknowledging the pain or the thing that I was carrying. Like, it wasn't big enough for him, because who would just tell me, just relax, everything's gonna be all right. But now I miss those words. I don't have those words in my daily life to keep me going. I miss those words. I miss him telling me that everything's gonna be all right. And so we just need to teach our kids that everything is gonna be all right. And that they're going to be okay. And that they need to stop focusing on the small little things. And they just need to just try and to do their best and to be good people and to love others and to just show up and to just remember that they have a higher power. I wish, and that was me being a member my whole life. That was me still like carrying all that stuff, even though I was a member my whole life. I still needed reassurance. I still wanted somebody to recognize my effort for what I was doing. I wanted people to say, good job, you know, and we need to do that. We need to remind our youth that they're doing a good job and not just always pushing them as hard, because they're trying their best. We do need to require effort, but we do need to acknowledge when that effort is done, because they are feeling overwhelmed. And I think we'd all get a lot farther if we recognize effort and just show love and just take the time out of your day to talk to them, because half the time we don't know what they're carrying. And sometimes you're like, why are you carrying that? You know, there's no need for you to carry that. But it happens. It even happens in adulthood, which is why I'm trying to seek the help that I need to, because we carry these things that my husband had to remind me of that last night. He was like, remember when I told you that you don't need to be carrying certain things? Well, the one down there is trying to mess with you. And that's what he's trying to do. He's out and about trying to create chaos, and we just need to be stronger and not allow him to do that. And so I just wanted to share that story with you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for keeping me company while I'm waiting for my kids to come out of seminary. I hope it helped. I hope that it shared some light out there. And yeah, so I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye, guys. Have a good day.